What is up, everyone? My name is Will. Today, I'm going to be diving into some Otherdeeds. We're going to be taking a look at the floor price, see where we're at. It's now been 7 months since we've minted these out, and a lot has changed. Obviously, we're in the middle of a bear market. It's kind of doom and gloom in some areas, and then it's looking brighter in others, especially if you're a freaking chromey squiggle. But anyways, we're going to dive in, take a look, see where we're at, see what's happening across the collection. It's very, very spread out. So, you can pull up the OpenSea page. You'll see the floor price, but there's a lot more depth and layers to it. So I'm going to go through and kind of give my quick and dirty analysis of where we are currently at in the Otherside Otherdeeds collection. Let's dive in. So here we are. We are on OpenSea, and we have the Otherdeed collection. As you can see, the floor price is currently 1.3 ETH, which I believe is about $2,000. We've had a pretty healthy day in ETH, up around 1650. And so, my initial take is that, we've come a long way down, right? Otherdeeds was a very hyped, anticipated mint. We have definitely pulled back significantly in a number of cases. So we had the initial mint, the initial craze. We then had another kind of sustained movement towards the upside leading into the first trip. And then after that, we've now kind of had this slow bleed, which, I kind of anticipated it, but I didn't think it would maybe be this harsh. But I think people are kind of setting into the reality that these deeds are going to give you access into the different developmental stages of the building process of Otherside. But the Otherside, the game, the metaverse, the world, isn't going to be ready, immediately, right? It's going to be later in the year, maybe I think they said something around 2023, into 2023, we'll have this persistent world, and hopefully we'll be able to start building on it then. But, I currently in the process, it's not like Yuga Labs is out there trying to pump out Otherside to the masses and onboard a bunch of users. It's still very much like if you're in NFTs and you're in crypto, then you know about Otherside, and that's kind of the current audience that they're keeping their focus on. So, let's see if we can take a quick look at this this chart. I haven't really used this analytics page from OpenSea before, but we'll see if we can get some meaningful data out of here. Maybe not. Maybe. You know what? We're going to default to Flips Finance and get some charts that actually mean something for the floor price here. So let's see. Okay, obviously we had fireworks in the very beginning. We kind of started around 5 ETH, rocketed to 8 ETH. If you were able to mint this, you instantly hit a 2x, I believe, up to about 3 at the peak there. And then the reveal happened, the shakeout, and everything has just kind of followed since then. So we had a big sell-off. We kind of came down into this 2 range right here. I believe June, July. Yeah, right around here is where we had that the first trip. And that was a very neat experience and had a lot of people excited. But in reality, we didn't need to be holding a boatload of Otherdeeds to experience it. You just needed one. So that kind of led to a continual bleed out here. And as you can see, we've just been slowly trending down, marching slowly to the current point of 1.3. So we had an interesting thing happen. LooksRare changed their listing rewards. So if you're not familiar with LooksRare, they have a program that they run from time to time, and you can get paid to list your NFTs. And so Otherside was, it has a ton of volume on it because the collection is just so huge. There's so many different floors to track and trade. You could be trading the Codas, you could be trading artifacts, resources, environments, sediments, whatever, you name it. There's so much there, but it continually has high volume. So that's great for Otherside. Lots of royalties getting spun off there. but something like this LooksRare program, it kind of hurt the floor. We were around 1.6. The LooksRare program came out, and then everyone with a floor deed essentially started flooring their lands. So what happens with this LooksRare program, if you're in the bottom 200 deeds listed, you're essentially gaining these like little points, these purple credit things. And then at the end of the day, after a full 24 hours, they take those points and they convert that to how many LooksRare tokens you can receive. So I believe if your collection is like first place or second place, I think first place is printing about 4 to 5 ETH worth of value just in listing the NFTs per day. That's not per token. That's divided across the 200. So the first place, if you're able to capture 500 points per listing across 200 listings, it's about 4 to 5 ETH, 0.02 or 0.03. I don't know. I did the math earlier. You can do the math now if you wish, but I'm not going to waste any more time on it. Essentially, that caused a bunch of sell pressure. People were like, heck, I can get paid for my crappy floor deeds. Like, I might as well go ahead and harvest that extra potential there. So essentially, you can take a look. The floor is just stacked. Usually they're all listed like at the same price because everyone's trying to cram into the bottom 200. And so basically, yeah, it pushed the floor down. We saw a peak. I mean, it was kind of like a flash crash almost because people didn't really know how many rewards they were getting versus, having it listed super, super low. So anyways, it kind of bottomed out at 1.1. We saw a rebound to 1.4, and now we are back in the 1.2 range. It's just floor deeds. I mean, a 100,000 collection, you're going to have a lot that just don't mean a whole lot to a lot of people. No big surprise there. But what that does mean, though, is that if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're trying to pick up another deed, like suddenly, if you want to just take a risk on becoming a landowner for this future metaverse, there's a lot of potential here. I don't know the specifics. I can't quite remember where I found it in the Otherside, but somewhere I would, if you're looking hard enough, I'm pretty sure you can find the exact quote where it says something along the lines of, we haven't revealed everything for the lands. So like, hold on, let me see. Now I'm determined to find it. Basically, it just says, I wish I had it pinpoint, bookmarked or whatever. But anyways, I dig through the website, otherside.xyz, take a look and see. It says somewhere about there's more to be revealed about the lands, and this is not pertaining to like Codas or anything like that. But I do think there is more to these lands than is currently being displayed. And so that could potentially mean that if you have a floor land, maybe at some point you can take that card and flip it over and you now have a new deed, right? So that could be a whole new set of environments, a whole new set of artifacts, resources, as well as maybe another 10K collection that's not just Codas. In the pitch deck that was once leaked, there was maybe some talk about goblins or something else. So my take is they will likely create this this lottery effect again. And so we saw it with the drop of Otherdeeds. If you go and look at the beginning of the sale, the reason why it took off and was sitting at an 80th floor on mint day was because there was that lottery premium, the gambler's premium. You essentially had a 1 in 10 chance of getting a Coda because there's 10,000 Codas spread across 100,000 lands. So, people were sitting there and they wanted to play the game, right? I mean, it's no surprise that it rocket shipped like that. So my take is if they are trying to generate more volume, if they're trying to drive more value to these deeds, like that could totally be a possibility where suddenly you now have the ability to flip that card over, or maybe they airdrop it and they increase the collection size to 200,000. I don't think that'll be the case, but if they did, then you would at least be getting equal value for holding one. getting airdropped another with new traits or whatever. So there could be a potential to have that gambler's premium reintroduced, which would obviously push the floor up. So let's go ahead and dive in real quick. We haven't talked too much about the floor across the different floors within the Otherside. So what I mean by that is we obviously have these environments and these sediments underneath the lands that, some are just complete crap. Like, this is a tier 2 land. It's got no resources. It's probably it's not a good environment, right? I mean, a good sediment. So like right off the rip, if you want to dig into like some more meaningful sediments, you could look at the ones that were airdropped to the Bored Apes. So this floor holds a different value, 2.65 here on OpenSea. I won't get into it too much here, but if you're looking for more value, you can use something like Blur or go on another platform like Gem, which aggregates across all different marketplaces, and you can maybe find something different. So if we go here and take a look at, what did I say, Biogenic Swamp, this is the Bored Ape land. Here you can see we've got 2.46 is the floor sitting over here. So 2.46, 2.65, save a little bit of ETH, might as well. But this land will also display on Blur. So let's see, 2.6 something. Maybe I'm making it up. It should be here. Am I blind? I may be blind. No, it's this one, 6466. Okay. Anyways, here's a different floor. So we've got the bare floor, which is kind of just like crap lands. We got 2.65 ETH floor, which is real down bad for the Bored Ape lands. People were gambling on them in the beginning, thinking they were an automatic tier 5 land, and some of these went for like 40 or 50 ETH. Kind of crazy. Let me see if I can do a highest last sale and see where that was at. I think it was around like 40. You got to come down a little bit because some of them are... What's going on here? This is not what I had in mind. Yeah, some of these low numbers. Okay, so there's like 50 ETH. Well, that's got a bunch of stuff on it. Anyways, these pre-revealed were going for a ton of money. So Biogenic Swamplands, 2.65 ETH floor, not bad. The ones that I think are currently just criminally undervalued is the ones with the mutant land sediment. So let's see here, 1.34 on OpenSea, 1.246. I mean, that's essentially the floor, right? Like, if I was going to be picking something up, I would be favoring a mutant land for a small markup, just because I feel like it's going to have more value in the long run, and it's closer to the center of the map, so that's always a bonus. So sediments, lots to dig in there. Hard to find value. It's hard to say, like, is 2.65 ETH a fair value for a more central Bored Ape sediment land? I don't really know, but people are still holding it at a premium. So it's definitely one to keep on your radar. Let's go ahead and jump to something like Codas. These have seen a lot of movement. There's two floors when it comes to Codas. There's just bare Codas, and then there's also weapon Codas. And so the bare Codas sitting at 9.7. Weapon Codas trade at a premium. Let's see, 9 point something and 15.2. So the delta there, I believe right now, is actually pretty high. What was that? About 5 ETH delta, almost 6. That's one to watch. Like, people definitely have tried to speculate on these a little bit. Like, these weapons, like, what the heck? What the heck is this going to be used for? And the other question then is like, can I take this weapon and remove it from my Coda and then go sell it on an in-game marketplace inside the Otherside? Like, that totally seems like a possibility. And maybe this gear that he's wearing right here, maybe that becomes something that you can remove and actually trade more like more openly instead of just having to keep it tied to the Coda itself. Those are all things to watch. So 15 ETH, 7 ETH. Oh crap, I went too far. And then you got the mega Codas. I think they're around 200 ETH the last time I looked. We'll see how they're tracking right now. Yeah, around 200 ETH. And these are the big guns, the ones that are like more thematically, like that, like, yeah. The traits all match. It's like a mega Coda. This one's meant to kind of be from this crustacean type land. You can see with the sword there and all that he's got going on. So these are super interesting. I wish I was able to have gotten a mega Coda, but in all honesty, I probably would have sold it by now if it could have fetched me 200 ETH, because that's a pretty penny. Going into artifacts, this is another floor that I think is very interesting. There's definitely 110% going to be a time when we have the decoupling. It's already been teased in this obelisk roadmap, Coda origins and the decoupling. So basically, you get to remove them from the deeds that they're attached to. Now, I don't know if that means like, hey, we're going to get to take the Coda and move it to a new collection called Codas, and then you can just trade Codas between other people without having them attached to a land. Or maybe you can take a Coda and move it to a different land that you want it to be on, but it can't like totally separate. It's like still connected-ish. So I don't know. It's either going to be completely connected and you can never actually really remove them, or you're going to be able to remove them completely, put them on a new land, take them off, put them on a different land, something. So the artifacts, right? We have a bunch of different artifacts, and there's ones of like different amounts, and there's also some that you can recreate in the game further down the road, and then there's some that can never be created again. So ones that I like to keep an eye on are, I am a self-proclaimed, hold on, Jar of Coda Farts Maxi. I got excited there. I saw that Barrel of Monkeys at 2.1, and that was kind of in my buy range for some Coda Farts. I recently picked some up for about 1.9, and I have no shame. I am the floor. So anyways, I like Jar of Coda Farts very much, because what the fuck is a Coda? And why do they have their farts in jars? So, I feel like the hype around Codas will then translate to Coda Farts at some point. These were going for like 4 or 5 ETH at one point. So I feel like there's value to be had picking them up at 2 ETH around that range. So definitely a Coda Farts Maxi. And the other ones that I kind of keep an eye on are the what are they called? They're kind of like the sidekicks. The ones that are like Anthony and Leo and the Santiago, and I don't know. They're the ones that look like these fun little animal creatures. 7 ETH for an Anthony. Finally, these were like 15 ETH for the longest time. Nobody was listing them. 7 ETH starting to look like a snack, but relatively. Actually, let's see if we can pull them up on Blur. They're a little easier to click down the list. Z, Leo, Martian, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So many different ones. And there's all 90 of them. Like, why 90? I don't understand. Okay. But then it's like, okay, you're going to pay 7 ETH for one, or you could get, like, this other one. I don't even know what this is. What is that? I hate deeds for the fact that they're so hard to tell what's on them. It's literally impossible sometimes. Wow, this guy is like ultimate camouflage. What is he called? He's a Tavo, something. So yeah, there's like these little things, and they just kind of do their, we don't know what they do, but they'll do something. So that's another floor I find interesting. 4 ETH compared to like when they were going for like 8 or 9. Like, obviously, there's upside. The question is when do people start to value them more, right? So if they're going to be faded for a long time, then it may may not be the best bet to like dive in and grab one right away, because there's potential that these could slowly converge closer to the floor price. Unlikely, but you never know what might happen. Another one that I find interesting, this is kind of like a little bit of a higher league. I'm not totally like set on spending big ETH on deeds like this, but like these orbs have consistently traded around 10 ETH or above. And so the fact that they're holding above 12 right now, while the floor price on Otherdeeds is just at its, local bottom there, is very interesting to me. It means that the people that are holding them have no intentions to sell. Another one, these unknown maps, they kind of come on the market randomly, but there hasn't been like real solid, good price action or history that you can look back to say like, oh yeah, that's a good, this like 21 ETH. Like personally, I don't think that's a good price for this right now. I would be way more interested in it at like 12, maybe. Chest of Holding, another one that just refuses to come down because there's only 50 of them. But yeah, so 24 ETH right now, I can't justify that. I am in no shape or form ready to drop 24 ETH on a Chest of Holding. As much as I love Yuga, as much as I love Otherside, and I have no doubt that the Chest of Holding will do something dope in the future, it's too out there, too speculative, not my cup of tea. I'm not even going to go into these other ones. They're just absurdly priced. You know what? We'll just take a look just for fun. These are like some of the one of ones and less than 6, like 100 ETH for a book, a relic book page. Like, come on. What does it do? 1,500 ETH. Have fun. That's not the game I'm looking to play. Another thing I'll bring up real quick is the mecha piece. I don't know. There's a lot of talk about mecha dogs, mecha apes, mecha whatever the heck. There's supposed to be some fighting game for bored apes in the future that, involves mecha pieces. Am I going on for too long? Yeah, this is starting to be a little bit of a long video. So I'm going to try and wrap it up here. But Coda gear, Coda pickaxes, armor, shovels, whatever the heck, hammers. These were trading around 8 ETH when the floor was around 3.5, so 4 ETH is still kind of expensive. The way that I see it, though, is like, are you telling me that a regular pickaxe, so there's like Coda forged, and then, what's the other one? The one unfortunate thing is like Blur is fantastic, but it doesn't have a search feature. And then you go onto OpenSea and the search feature is garbage. And then you come onto Gem and we're not even loading right now, so that's an issue. Pickaxe, come on, somebody. And now it's not even showing me anything that I want to see. Wonderful. Anthony at 7 ETH. Interesting, but it's just, I can't justify that. Pickaxe. Yes, okay. Rugged pickaxe, 2.2 ETH floor, forged, sitting at a 2. Ooh, zoomed in too much. Forged at 2.43, and then, so like this, like to me, I'm like, okay, I clearly would just probably pick up a forged if I was gonna have to pay 0.2 more. Maybe that's ludicrous, I don't know, but then it's like, when you look at the other options for pickaxe, and then it's like, okay, 4.5 for a Coda pickaxe. Are you going to tell me that paying literally half the price of a Coda for a tool is going to be worth it? I just can't justify that. Like, to me, it makes more sense. Like, okay, maybe the rugged gives you a 10% boost in yield on your lands or something like that. And then Forged gives you a 20% boost, and Coda Pickaxe gives you like a 30% boost. So, I don't know. I mean, like, to justify owning the Coda Pickaxe over... Okay, so I'm going to just throw this out here real quick. This might be a play. It just came to me in this thought. I haven't really sat down to think about this much, but let me see if I can find where it talks about the resources. Okay. Here we are. Let me zoom out. the natural materials. We have anema or shard root. I will do more of a deep dive on this later, but basically each resource has its own like section. So like ore, you're going to use a pickaxe to mine this ore. Research anema, I don't know. Like I'm thinking maybe that's more related to like the shovel maybe. But no, root would be shovel. Anema research would maybe be like a hammer. And then shard could be an axe or the other way around, or I don't know. At some point, some tool will make sense to harvest some resource. And then you use resources to build shit on your land and blah, 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 blah. But I'm just thinking here. If you had a Coda and you had a Coda pickaxe, and then you had a bunch of ore type materials, you could potentially be setting yourself up to just mine the ever living daylights out of some ore, and you could just have like your little Coda running around your lands, mining your. Oh, sorry, my dog is getting a little vocal. Hello. I would show you, but I don't want to mess with the camera setup. Okay, now she's trying to get my attention. Anyways. That could be something, right? You use the pickaxe with the metals. And so, like, an example, what am I talking about metals? Like, we have one called obsidian, clearly is a metal. Let's see here. You can't even see it. Did I do the wrong? Oh, hold on. I did the wrong thing. I meant to do onyx. Okay. So onyx is 110% a metal that you would need a pickaxe for. So maybe you have a land with a couple of onyx resources and you just go to town and maybe at that point it makes sense to own a Coda pickaxe. I don't really know. That's like mega speculation, way too far out to tell. But it's something to think about, right? So, anyways, an interesting floor to look at, but you kind of hopefully are getting like my thought process of like what I think makes sense and what I think just seems a little too far out there. I could dive into resources, but that would literally take all day. So I will probably save that for another video. I'm trying to think if there's any other major floors that I want to talk about. We can do a quick look at like environments because there's pretty big differences. Okay, so like the main one, 111 chaos lands. Sorry, I gotta reset my sort filter so we can see the lowest price. 104 ETH for a chaos. Like that is still mega expensive for chaos lands. Acid lands. I quite like acid lands, but still, 2 ETH, I mean, you're essentially paying almost 100% above floor to get a acid land, which, yes, there's, 1,400 of them compared to some of the others, which have like, 5,000 or 6,000. I just don't know. Things that I'm more excited about, though, when it comes to like acid lands would be, would be like a dimensional resource. I think like this one for 4.9 is probably super undervalued. Because these were like going for well over 10 ETH a while back. And when ETH was like 3K instead of 1,600. So I don't know. You have to use your imagination. The liquidity is thin in a lot of these places. Like this is probably not going to move very quickly, right? Like here we go. Last week we were able to have a sale, and that resulted in we can't even see. Who knows what's going on there either? Because when you start moving a bunch of stuff, it just I don't know. Like what happened here? Did we move some stuff around? Did we get scammed? What's going on? I don't know. That becomes fishy to me. I don't really like touching those kind of things because then I'm like, I don't really know the transaction history. I'd like to know that it was cleanly sold to somebody else before diving into something more expensive, but it's something to look at. Another thing is for environments, if we look at acid again, there's a huge jump going from a floor at 2 to a tier 4 for 2.8. Okay, so not a huge jump. I mean, it is a huge jump. Yeah, it's like adding an extra ETH almost. But if you go look at a tier 5, we go from like 2 being the floor on acid, 2.8 being the floor on tier 4 acid, and then tier 5 acid is just like, oh, the 11 ETH. You know, so it's like, yes, there's only 127 of them, but like people are just out here struggling when it comes to trying to find true value in these environments, right? Like that's where I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I don't pick up an acid for a tier 5 acid land for 11 ETH, but like you go back and you pick up a tier 4 for 3, and that, you know, has potential to age very well when the demand for lands increases, which again, who knows when that's going to be? Could be a while. I'm slowly losing daylight. My dog is starting to bug the crap out of me. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. If you've got any like Otherside questions that you want to ask, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know. I'm happy to make a video on any of this stuff. I like kind of made it my mission to try and understand as much about Otherside as I possibly could after the mint went live, because like I didn't really do that when it came to the Bored Ape collection or the Mutant Ape collection. Like I just held my ape for the longest time, and I didn't even like flip apes. I started to kind of flip mutants and get an understanding on like what has liquidity where in the mutant collection. But I don't know. After missing so many opportunities there, I kind of was like, you know what? I'm going to try and get a real good understanding of what it is that's going on with Otherside, because I feel like there's just so much to unpack, so many things to dig into, and it gets into the weeds very quickly. So yeah, if you got any questions, let me know. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end. I've been rambling a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I do appreciate you hanging out. Yeah, so take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.